In our current SGMI, Strategic Global Market Intelligence Forum, we are addressing the dynamic and the capital intensive unraveling topic, the uprooting of global automotive sector. The last 25 years, the global automotive sector had gone a dramatic shift. The sector had witnessed not only individual brand names consolidating, diluting, and in some cases almost globally amalgamating. Especially 2008 financial crisis brought the three US big names that include GM, Ford, and Chrysler almost on the brink. And the industry had to really unravel itself for its base existence. And especially when we try to address the three US big names, uh, GM and Chrysler require government financial support to sustain itself, but it also need to dilute a lot of global brand it had under its brand portfolio. But one example, the way the industry has shifted, one of the global name Ford, which happens to be the second behind GM from US automotive sector, we can try to see Ford rather than trying to primarily depend on government support during the 2008 financial crisis. It tried to address internally and bringing uh, the Boeing industry CEO and trying to revive itself. Ford diluted a lot of the global brand name that it had under its brand portfolio. That include the Swedish Volvo to the British Jaguar Land Rover, and significantly diluting its stake not only in Korean Kia but also the Japanese Mazda. And that savings and internally trying to financially restructure brought Ford to a state not only to revive but again trying to position itself as a global brand, and especially in the North American market being a dominant force. But we also witness in the last 15 years especially the critical advancement of non-fossilized platform in automotive sector, environmental sustainability taking priority, and environmental legislation being drawn by different global governments, and especially in developed countries, government trying to address the environmental stake critical and the global warming and the pollution, emission, everything trying to readdress the industry. And a lot of environmental legislation meaningfully being drawn. And the non-fossilized platform, all experiments that are happening on innovation R&D uh, to address other than the historical fossilized platform, uh, getting on to electric, biofuel, hydrogen, all that experiments going on rapidly, some with merits, some having roadblocks. But the one that is trying to give a kind of permanency happens to be the electric vehicle platform. Although the world's leading brand, Toyota, introduced hybrid in the early 2000s, but to be more precise, it happens to be Tesla that become a global brand name, especially on electric vehicle platform, and the strength of that electric vehicle again running on lithium battery, and the lithium battery innovation, research, development, and the sharp scale that need to be brought in the from 2009 being introduced by the Chinese platform, which has become now the world's leading name, BYD, Beyond Your Dreams. So we are trying to say, uh, as the industry dramatically shifting, the reality also happens customers' preferences, priorities dynamically changing. Not only they are looking for technological advancement, they are looking for efficiency, environmental sustainability, and a lot of scenario where they try to see that they are getting everything under one car in a very compact form. And we are not only addressing uh, personalized small size car, SUVs, and all. We are also addressing commercial vehicle platform that includes medium and heavy built trucks and all. So the concentration again of the global automotive sector, not only nation based, region based, and in some cases continents trying to address, like for example, European Union, that biggest export happens to be automotive, and the biggest names not only coming from Sweden, we are addressing Volvo and Saab from UK, although most of the UK brand acquired by other global entities. But again, when we are trying to address the British vehicles, Jaguar Land Rover to Bentley to Mini Cooper to Aston Martin to Rolls Royce. And same way, the French name Peugeot to uh, the European leading platform on automotive sector that happens to be German, and we are addressing Volkswagen to Mercedes Benz, and all the way to BMW. And from Italian cars, we are trying to address the world's most favored budgeted platform, Fiat, to the ultimate, what we are trying to address Ferrari, Lamborghini, and we can try to address Maserati, Alfa Romeo. So the biggest export from the European Union market, and again on European Union platform automotive sector. And the emergence, especially on efficiency, reliability, the Japanese and Korean name are again becoming very, very significant. So the customer preference priority continuously changing, and they are not only environmentally more conscious, but also efficiency, inflationary factors all coming into play. So we try to say the lead initially historically taken by US, but later part we can try to see the European names making it very strong, especially on luxury and technology. But from the early 80s, we can try to see the Japanese name becoming very, very strong. And especially the top three Japanese name, Toyota, Honda, and Nissan. Not only its main platform, but with its luxury platform, had become global name. And for the last 2 decades, Toyota happens to be the world's leading vehicle seller under different models. Not only we are addressing its primary Toyota platform, but also its luxury division Lexus. So we can try to see the shift in the automotive sector from US to Europe. We had seen going to Japan, and a further consolidation again on foreign exchange rate. You can try to see the emergence of Hyundai, and especially when Hyundai acquired the stakes in their competitor Kia, and especially that acquisition from Ford made them a much more powerful global name. And the dramatic shift came with environmental sustainability and trying to find a permanent, environmentally friendly platform. And that is where electric vehicle and especially the Chinese name emerging. So what we are trying to see in the last 15 years as Tesla becoming the world's most reliable platform on environmental concerns and everything that everyone trying to look not only luxury uh, a- and environmental sustainability that can be addressed to the highest level. We are trying to see the real force behind Tesla, and that happens to be the battery makers, and that is where innovation R&D. And it is not only innovation R&D that goes into the production, but what we are trying to address as customer preferring more technologically advanced, kind of more digital accessories and all, the critical role of automotive suppliers, and especially on digital platforms, starting from the electric batteries, lithium, to everything that goes on transistor, diodes, and microprocessor, what we call chips. And that critical raw material, what we address along with lithium and 17 REM, rare earth metal. And that critical reality, 98% happening in one country, China. And that is where you can try to see China not only having the raw materials uh, to develop the most advanced lithium battery, but the critical strength without which the digital advancement cannot be done had raised the Chinese platform to the highest level. So the Chinese automotive names fiercely becoming global, and some of the market not only they are addressing a list of priority check, not only from government, from dealers, from customers, from environment to efficiency to luxury, to advancement in innovation R&D. Chinese names are globally not only dominating, overtaking traditional automotive markets and all. And that emergence, the way the Chinese vehicle dominating the platform, the very recent one we can try to indicate the UK market for the September sale, the Chinese topmost name BYD, Beyond Your Dream, its sales growth happens to be 880%. So this is the way the Chinese vehicles, and especially the names that are highly advancing itself in innovation R&D, not only dominating but overtaking, and in some cases even uprooting the traditional names from the market. So that is where we can try to see the re-entry of President Trump, the second term, and for him, from the first term itself, the second term also, he knows that the American names are not going very strong on innovation R&D, and especially the digital platform, and also the advancement on electric batteries. China had taken kind of supremacy, and that is where his latest tariff platform introduced from January 2025, basically trying to safeguard uh, the American automotive sector's domestic market, with all the tariff making it impossible for the Chinese electric vehicle to penetrate those market. And that dramatic shift that we are trying to see, where we can try to see the global turf almost becoming defensive versus offensive, is going to completely uproot the global automotive sector. So, in our current SGMI, Strategic Global Market Intelligence Forum, we are going to address uh, the current shift almost going to uproot global automotive sector. So the statement remains strong: customer is king. Customer happening to be in developing, semi-developed country, they are only loyal to themselves, and that loyalty means anyone that can give them the maximum value to the buck they are paying, their loyalty sticks with them. And customers not concerned. It is made in a certain country, made in a certain region. If their priority check everything match and they try to see the vehicle continuously addressing on efficiency, fitting within their budget, the loyalty dramatically shifting. So in our session, we will be trying to address the and also the projection on our platform. We are trying to put forward that some of the traditional historical assembly platform, whether we are trying to talk about in North America, Canada, Mexico, that primarily supports the US auto sales market, to the European names, and some of the names you can try to say still in global development phase, whether we are trying to address from India to Vietnam, the reality that will be settling on offensive versus defensive. Some of the market will be defended through tariff and all, and making the platform highly protectionist, trying to support local domestic brand. But the clarity that seems that is settling in, the Chinese uh, electric vehicles are going to globally dominate. And in that process, uh, traditional assembly platform like Canada, Mexico, European markets, and some of the Asian markets are going to be completely taken out of the market. And the strength that we are also trying to see, that not only the advancement, but the critical rare earth metals that China having, and again the integration of robotics, artificial intelligence, especially in assembly production line, will be significantly shaping, reshaping what the modern automotive sector will be. And it will be concentrated on few platforms, and the one that will be dominating will be the one that's going to be offensive. And that offensive basically means trying to meet all the priority, whether we are trying to address innovation, R&D, to global environmental efficiency, durability, and a robust platform, where you will be trying to see even traditional global leaders like Toyota trying to find most of their global market going to bleed, especially against the Chinese electric vehicle and its dominance. So the industry is going to be more concentrated, more advanced in innovation R&D. Of course, digital integration going to be there, but it will be critically narrowing down to very few countries that will be taking the industry to the futuristic level, and their ultimate dominance will define the futuristic role of not only how far the tariff, uh, the customer preference, and the priority shift to environmental sustainability, everything it leads to be, but it will be very few players that will be globally dominating the platform and addressing that continuous change in customer needs and want. But whatever product and the services that goes with the automotive platform, you will be finding that they are going to address global customer, and not only on efficiency and all of the priority factor, but also trying to give them the strong perception customer is king. On the unraveling topic, the uprooting of global automotive sector, we would like to provide 5 strategic insight. The very first one, the global auto sector turning to make or break platform. The second strategic insight, 360-degree turn on environmental sustainability. The third, indispensable dominance of critical rare earth metal, shaping global automotive sector. The fourth strategic insight, global transformation role of auto part supplier. And the final strategic insight verdict, the global automobile competition paving way to offensive versus defensive. The first strategic insight, the global auto sector turning to make or break platform. Not only the grassroots implication brought by global tariff, especially from US platform, but the variation and to be more precise, highly dynamic. That includes regulatory compliance variation to the global rules of engagement, export import that can dynamically change, to environmental sustainability concern, inflationary pressures that are again trying to take some market completely out of customer budget, to the continuous dependence on critical rare earth metals, everything trying to bring the industry to a very different survival mode. So, the make or break with all the dynamic scenario prevailing, automotive names needs to be more agile, proactive, trying to address what it takes to fit in. And a critical part here, the capital intensive assembly line, they need to financially restructure that can critically draw out productivity and efficiency. So we are addressing here not only the advancement in R&D innovation, but robotics, artificial intelligence, and the value generation they need to bring upfront on global platform. And the make or break phrase simply addresses each automobile on day-to-day basis, not taking their position for granted, but ready to ever change, ever adapt, ever fit to customer needs and want. And the one that gets the phrase into full implementation, grassroots, ground floors, they will be trying to see their continuity, their sustenance, and their overall growth. But the one that takes the platform for granted, especially on traditional platform, and the expectation, the rules of engagement will be trying to support, sustain, and mere relationship, but not challenging and especially advancement in digital technological integration, that days are going to be numbered. The second strategic insight, 360-degree on environmental sustainability. Especially in the last 2 decades, the United Nations initiative on environmental protocol and trying to draw its member nation to draw respective legislation. And we can try to see a lot of environmental protocol being drawn, and a strong part on that environmental sustainability, because the most polluting sector happens to be the automotive platform. So the government not only trying to take initiative, but trying to draw more result oriented specific legislation that tries to promote green technology, to everything where uh, the pollution can be brought to the minimum, the negative carbon footprints can be reduced. So the government around the world, especially developed nation, are trying to bring legislation that requires automotive sector to address mandatory requirement on non-fossilized platform, and especially in the next 10 to 15 years where they would like to see critical milestone and the transformation from fossilized to non-fossilized. And a strong part happens to be the electric vehicle platform to biofuel everything that can try to protect sustain environment to a larger extent. But the Trump administration's approach that the customer finally dictates the market, and especially on efficiency, as non-fossilized platform happens to be more expensive and requires more advancement in innovation R&D, where China takes the lead, not only on the advancement, but also on the critical procurement of rare earth metal. Uh, the mandatory requirement with milestone was given a 360-degree turn, and that turn in the world's number one buying market, United States, had completely transformed the requirement. Now, for each automotive sector that had significantly invested on non-fossilized platform, they are trying to look into, especially in US market, with the three US automobile name, again going to roll out traditionally the fossilized platform and fitting into the budget of customer, and especially trying to draw efficiency when the global inflationary pressure happens to be high, is trying to take the platform to a very different level. So the transformation expected from non-fossilized to fossilized, but that non-fossilized to fossilized, again, the capital investment that has gone behind, the government legislation, milestones, everything that they have tried to draw on, and trying to transform the global automotive sector in a different way, all has come under a big question mark. The third strategic insight, the indispensable dominance of the critical REM, that stands for rare earth metals. That includes lithium plus 17 REMs, and the single concentration in one country, China, that accounts for 98% of REM. The rare earth metal requirement, especially in the last 15 years, especially the technological digital advancement, interactive technology, accessories, everything that requires more of transistors, diodes, microprocessor, what we call chips, had made the entire global auto sector to completely depend on Chinese rare earth metal exports. So it has become a very strategic procurement, although there happens to be powerful companies that are addressing uh, the microprocessor making. That includes not only the US Intel, AMD, to the Korean Samsung, to the Dutch strong name, to the world's number one name from Taiwan, TSMC. But the reality happens to be the REM critical raw material needs to come from China. So at any time, if the Chinese government changes rules of engagement, especially on export restrictiveness, the industry can come down to its knees. The same scenario we had seen during the pandemic time, uh, where the waiting time uh, for for the latest model had gone in some cases from months to years. And again, it all coming down on the critical rare earth metal, and one country has absolute advantage, China. And China not only uh, at the supplier level of REM, but the advancement, especially on electric vehicle platform that we had seen from 2009 to the current scenario, where the Tesla's battery maker BYD had raised its platform to almost globally compete with Tesla and almost dominating the platform. So it is not only BYD, the next five Chinese name fastly emerging, globally dominating, and almost penetrating every market. Uh, a strong part, of course, on superficial level, we can try to see uh, luxury to efficiency, everything coming, but the base, rare earth metal. So we will be trying to see the scenario not going to change because REM, the first phrase itself says not rare, critically rare. And that 98% concentration in China gives them complete advantage to be the futuristic global leader in automotive sector. The fourth strategic insight, the global transformation role of auto part supplier. Auto part supplier traditionally happens to be the backbone with globally spread out assembly integrated platform to everything that the auto brand name takes its advantage when it is penetrating any market with regard to its main platform, but needs to be supported with not only the luxury they are trying to draw, but also efficiency, cost effectiveness. And that's where the importance given to supplier selection process and not only on strategic but sole sourcing, supplier relationship management, and again being drawn on especially related to automotive sector, uh, tire classification, tire 1, tire 2, tire 3, again according to the strategic effectiveness efficiency that is being given to the broader platform, and that had given the strength for automobile to become truly a global name. But what we are trying to see right now, uh, not only uh, the inflationary pressures playing a very important role, especially post pandemic, but also the dependence on critical rare earth metal and the environmental sustainability challenges all coming to play. But the critical role very much played with global tariff, and especially the world's primary vehicle sales platform, to be more precise, US, uh, the tariff is trying to bring kind of very restrictiveness the way the auto part supplier can integrate with the global auto name. And we are trying to see very closely that President Trump administration under Section 232 of the National Security Act will be trying to bring the auto part supplier as a part of national security. And that is where you will be trying to see the serious uprooting of global auto sector. And what we are trying to see here is not only uh, the automotive part supplier trying to not only realign, redesign, retool, but what we are trying to see a critical transformation to re-registration. So some of the world's leading global auto part supplier that happens to be traditionally spread out in different countries, but especially to lower or higher leverage currency exchange countries, and but they happen to be registered, like for example, in European countries to all the way to Canada and all. But you will be trying to see a critical transformation of re-registering and repositioning. And in that aspect, we can try to project, like for example, with regard to Canada, from where the world's leading auto part supplier, Magna, comes, we are trying to see a very strong future clarity that not get surprised that Magna will re-register and reposition as an American name for wider market access and critical capital investment. The final strategic insight: the global automobile competition paving way to offensive versus defensive. It means there will be critical capital intensive market correction, uh, production concentration, and some assembly platform globally integrated, completely wiping out from the global platform. And we can try to see the customers' preferences, priorities, calling for ever demanding need for agile transformation, but also regulatory compliance to all the way to digital transformation. That includes robotics, artificial intelligence, and continuous investment on innovation R&D. And the catch here with offensive versus defensive, the one that will remain offensive, proactively addressing global customer preferences, continuously investing in innovation R&D, trying to bring viable option and ready to fit, penetrate, dominate uh, the market that they are getting viable access. And on the other hand, the brands, the country that will be getting more on the defensive platform happens to be lagging behind with customer preferences and priority, innovation R&D not matching to the requirement, and the customer preferences choices, they are simply not fitting in. And with the protectionist approach, they will be trying to protect, sustain the platform to a certain time. But the norm, the one that's going to be on offensive here, of course, no second thought, will be the Chinese platform. Uh, the example that we can try to see from the September sales figure from UK, uh, it has registered more than 880% growth for the Chinese name BYD Beyond Your Dreams. And you can try to see the equal parallel in Australia that doesn't have any brand name and less restrictive market access, almost 55% dominated by the Chinese, especially electric vehicle platform. So the offensive platform going to be maintained, sustained, improved, and globally going to be dominated by the Chinese auto platform, whereas the defensive platform, whether it is going to be in North America or in Europe, with their protectionist policy to protect the domestic market, can work for a certain time, but the market is going to become more limited. And after a certain uh, time frame, if they are not trying to challenge themselves and investing in innovation R&D, they will be finding themselves almost cornered, and the market always dictated by customer, and customer trying to have a perception what they are paying, they are not getting the right value. The whole platform, especially with the defensive, will be crumbling down, and it will be paving way to the one that is having that offensive approach. At SGMI, Strategic Global Market Intelligence Forum, on the unraveling topic uprooting of global automotive sector, going to be highly dynamic, imbalancing, and profoundly uprooting. Rapidly evolving customer preferences and priorities, global specific tariff drawing protectionist turfs, critical procurement of rare earth metals, inflationary pressures, volatile currency exchange rate, capital intensive technological innovation and R&D, productivity issues, diluting reliability and ever increasing product recalls, and strategic supplier relationship management all going to upend global automobile industry. The global automotive competition platform going to melt down as defensive versus offensive. Defensive will revoke protectionist platform with tariffs, quotas, mandatory documentation, and restrictive regulatory compliance, whereas the offensive platform will be consistently strong on R&D, efficiency, environmental sustainability, and agile to dynamic customers' needs and wants, and single-handedly dominate and uproot each market they get viable access. The futuristic automotive sector will narrow down to very few countries, and global capital intensive assembly platform created on currency exchange efficiency will be completely diluted out. So government and policy decision maker at macro level need to proactively address lost export revenue, wider industry deficit, wider unemployment, labor disruption to constructively address environmental sustainability. At micro level, for each automotive name is going to be day-to-day survival game with ever-changing global rules of engagement, strategic capital investment, sustaining supplier relationship management, especially on efficiency, effectiveness, and rare earth metal, and the ever demanding 360-degree transformation to customer preferences and priorities. No second thoughts. The global automotive sector uprooting traditional platform, paving way to globally fierce defensive versus offensive platform. The in-depth analysis and projection thought-provoking platform SGMI, Strategic Global Market Intelligence, initiated to create proactive awareness and sound preparedness in global trade implementation and practices. We appreciate your qualitative time to visit us to gain global know-how, and we equally count on your inputs, suggestions, feedback towards continuously improving our strategic communication platform. Thanks.